Goodwill Industries' Last Mile to Work program began in 2016 with 2 employees needing a way to get to work. We found 2 bikes, repaired them, and placed those individuals on those bikes so that they could get to work. In 2021, Goodwill's Last Mile to Work program became official with the hiring of 3 individuals. These individuals are charged with taking donated bikes, rebuilding them to make them safe and usable so that people can get to work. Program participants receive these bikes a helmet, lock, vest, and lights at no charge.
To be eligible to participate in the Last Mile to Work program, the following requirements must be met. Complete soft skills and/or enrolled in a Goodwill program or employed by Goodwill. Must be actively employed. Must be referred by a Goodwill career coach or Goodwill peer support specialist. Must be entered in good data. Must be 18 or older or 16 and older with written parental consent. Must complete a Last Mile to Work application and attach employment verification. Cannot own another form of transportation, such as a car, moped, motorcycle, etc.
What we're going to talk about now is the ABC Quick Check, and what it allows you to do is to determine whether your bike is ready to ride. Is it safe, and will it do what it's supposed to do? First off, A stands for air. The first thing that you can do, if you squeeze your tire and it gives, more than likely you don't have enough air in this tire. It's a good idea to check your tire pressure once a week to be sure that it has enough air. Now, on your tire, it will tell you how much air you should have in this tire. What we have here is a Schrader valve, which is like the kind of valve you have on your car. So this particular tire pump, like many, has 2 different holes because there are 2 different kinds of tire valves. The larger hole goes onto this valve stem and locks on, and your tire pump shows how much pressure you have. This particular tire is probably 20 pounds short, so it needs to be pumped up to 60 pounds. We're doing a couple different things right here. With more tire pressure and adequate tire pressure, this wheel will roll smoother. The other thing is, if you're low on tire pressure and you drop this into a hole in the road, you can compress this tire to the point where it pinches the tube and you get a hole, which means you have no air and you can't ride anymore.
Some bikes will come with a Presta valve, and a Presta valve requires you to use it differently to fill your tire. One of the first things you need to do is open this nut right here, and it unthreads, and just give it a little tap so that you make sure that the seal is released. How a Presta valve works is this threaded piece has an O-ring on the end, and by tightening this nut, you're pushing the O-ring up against a seat to keep the air from leaking out. Now, to fill the tire, 2 different options. You'll notice on this pump head you have a larger hole and a smaller hole. This larger hole is for the Schrader, which is very similar to a car tire, and this is for your Presta valve. So simply placing the pump head on and squeezing or turning this knob will engage your Presta valve. The other option is if you have an adapter, and when in our program what we do is we provide every person that has a Presta valve with this adapter. It has one side that has a little rubber O-ring. That's the side that you screw onto your valve, and you screw it on until it is snug, and now you use the larger size, the Schrader. You slip it on and you engage the head, and now you're ready to pump your tire. Once I've reached pressure, you disengage the head, pull off the adapter, and what's most important here at this point is to make sure that you tighten this nut back down. Because remember, one of the things I said is there's a rubber O-ring in here that pulls against the seat to keep the air from leaking out.
B is for brakes. You'll have a brake for your front wheel, you'll have a brake for your rear wheel. They work independently of one another. If the brake lever goes all the way to the handle, you have no brakes. So, you know, this handle really shouldn't be much closer than an inch. And if it's closer than that, you're getting close to not having any brakes. So the brakes would need to be adjusted. The tire needs to run smoothly between the brake pads. If they hit, it's out of adjustment. Q stands for quick releases. Many bikes, especially newer bikes, use quick releases as a fastener. For example, wheels are held on with quick releases. And rather than having a bolt here, you just have a lever that can be opened up, and that loosens this wheel so that you can remove it. And then it needs to be returned for it to be safe. Okay? Some bike posts have quick releases, and this is what you use to set your bike height, your seat height, so you're riding at the right height, which is important.
Now let me demonstrate this here, the difference between quick release open and quick release closed. Here the quick release is closed, and you notice how far the brake moves towards the handlebars. If I open the quick release lever, look how far it comes in. I'm losing a lot of my brake efficiency, so that is one of the pieces in the ABC Quick Check that you want to make sure you check. Squeeze your brakes, make sure that they don't go too far. If they go too far, look to make sure your quick release lever is not in the open position. In terms of bike maintenance, there are two things that are important to do. Checking to make sure your chain is clean and lubricated, and I recommend that that be done once a month. And the other is just really going over your bike and cleaning off any dirt and mud that may have accumulated from a bike ride. So let's first talk about cleaning your chain. Simply paper towel. I use some sort of orange cleaner. And then we have a lubricant. In this case, this is T9. There are a variety of different lubricants you can use. The one you don't want to use is WD-40. WD-40 has a bike chain lubricant, but WD-40 itself is not a good lubricant. It really is designed just to clean things. To clean your bike chain, there are several different ways. The way I like best is just take a wad of paper towels. You can use a rag, whatever you have available to you. And I soak the paper towel. And now all I'm going to do is wrap around the chain and hold it loosely, and I pedal backwards. It seems to work better when I pedal backwards. And now all I'm doing is rubbing the cleaner into the chain. Now this chain is really very clean, so it's not needing a lot. But if you have a dirty chain, now you see even here I've picked up some, but if you have a really dirty chain, you're probably going to have to do it multiple times. Turn your paper towel over, wrap around, and pedal backwards. What you're looking for is something that is clean, there's no dirt buildup, and then your chain is ready to go. The next thing that is important is lubricant. I like the drip lubricant simply because it's easier to control. You can use spray lubricant too. Now here what I do is I just open it up, and all I'm going to do is There's a little roller in each one of these chains, and I'm just going to pedal. I can pedal forward, pedal backwards. I'm going to pedal backwards in this case, and I just drop on each of the little rollers and do it until I get all the way around back to the beginning of the chain. You don't want so much that the lubricant is dripping onto the floor. You just want a little bit on those rollers. That will extend your chain life. So cleaning your chain is something that you do once a month. Or if you've been riding in particularly muddy, dirty situations. The other thing I like to do with my bike is simply go over the bike and I'll just spray it down. I'm just going to demonstrate on one side here. And then I'm going to start wiping it off. What I'm looking for when I'm wiping it off is I'm trying to remove mud, but at the same time I'm looking for damage to the bike. Maybe there's some paint damage that I need to touch up to keep it from rusting. Maybe there's a dent from some other damage, and looking for maybe the frame is damaged where it might not be safe to ride anymore. I've seen situations where in carbon fiber frames will crack in this area. So you're just really looking to make sure your bike is safe to ride. An important part to riding your bike is to making sure that your bike fits you properly. The first thing that we ask you to do is to measure the inseam. You will be provided with this piece of paperwork that tells you how to use this device, plus also a referencing for sizing. Tell you that if you're a certain height, your inseam is probably within this range. May not be, but probably. And the reason why we have that is that sometimes we have found we don't necessarily get accurate measurements because this tool is not used properly. So let me demonstrate how to use this tool. It is on a magnet, so it slides up and down. And the first thing you want to do is just place it towards the bottom. Stand with your feet approximately shoulder width apart, reach down towards the back of the unit and pull it straight up until it just is firmly into your crotch as if you were sitting on it. Hold on to the back and just step away. Then you will read your measurement off of this, and in the case the way this one works, the instructions will tell you that since 35 is the number you see and it's below 35, you want to subtract a half inch. So supposedly my inseam is 34.5 inches. Another way of measuring inseam, if you do not have the measuring tool, is to use a carpenter square, and I recommend the 16 by 24. It gives enough room, and a yardstick. To do it, you want to make sure that your carpenter square, the short side, is placed firmly against the wall. That makes this parallel to the ground. So to do it again is just simply your feet shoulder widths apart, place the yardstick or place the carpenter square against the wall and bring it up so that it's as if you're sitting on it. Now you put your yardstick up and measure to the top, and that measurement is
34.5.
The reason we want the inseam measurement is that part of bike fit is to make sure that you can stand over the bike, not on the seat, but stand over the bike and the top bar not hit you, so that if you had to get off the bike quickly, you could put your feet firmly on the ground and not injure yourself. The second reason for that is there's a limit to how far we can move the saddle up to get the correct length for you to ride your bike, and so inseam is critical to get those two measurements.